He is the best hockey player in the world. And now we are talking about contracts. Because a new piece published on NHL.com by Mike Zeisberger from yesterday goes over a really interesting update that I wanted to dive into in this video. Of course, you know from the title, you know from the thumbnail, today we are talking about Connor McDavid. McJesus, baby! Connor Mac! Without further ado, I'll leave a link in the description to this article published from yesterday that talks about how McDavid is everything to this organization. Oilers CEO Jackson tells NHL.com they discuss the captain's next contract, the second straight trip to the Cup final versus the Panthers, in an exclusive sit-down interview. The reason this article is interesting is because Jackson gives us pretty much enough that we need to know in regards to McDavid and his contract situation. Let's dive into that first before we read some of the commentary here. But Connor McDavid is making $12.5 million a year till the end of 2026. This contract was signed all the way back in 2018. So he got that full 8-year deal, $100 million, and then, of course, he had a little bit extra from his ELC and then probably some other stuff in bonuses and sponsorships and whatnot. He had a McDonald's sponsorship with Austin Matthews, so Connor McDavid has made a lot of dough as the best player in the National Hockey League, but he is eligible to sign a contract extension on July 1st of this upcoming summer. 2026 is the contract expiration, so he will have to extend for 2026, 2027, and beyond. Assuming it's 8 years, he will go until he is 36 years old. He is 28 right now. Connor McDavid potentially signing 2 max-term contracts. But let's go back over onto the article here and read what Jeff Jackson has to say. Look, Connor McDavid knows what he means to this organization and the city of Edmonton. And this organization and city certainly know what Connor means to them. We are very cognizant of that. Can you expand on that? The article goes out there and asks. He is everything to this organization, and he's everything to the fan base here. He's beloved, and he gives back a lot. He loves playing here. I know that it's a very comfortable place for him to play. He's treated very well by ownership, the staff, everyone. And he loves the staff, right through from the athletic trainers to equipment guys to everybody in between. And you know Connor, he appreciates all of them, and they appreciate him because he treats everyone with respect. He is humble, and he brings that leadership element every single day. And you can't replace that. The next question here, given his contract situation, this is stating the obvious, but is getting him locked up long-term come July 1st a top priority for the organization? We're not into it yet, Jackson said, but I think once the season's over, if it goes any way, the way it did last year, we were fortunate enough to make it to the final, then all of a sudden you're into the end of June, you're into the draft, you're into free agency. But yes, priority number 1 would be to talk to Connor and his agents. And yeah, it's on everybody's radar for sure, but we're just leaving it for the time being as long as we're still playing. After that, yeah. It's not even yeah, it's yeah. The article then has a really interesting turn because it asks Jeff Jackson this. You began serving as Connor's representative when he was 15 years old, and you served as his agent until you were hired by the Oilers on August 3rd, 2023. You've obviously heard some of the outside speculation that one of the end games of hiring you was your relationship with him and his family, and that it might help in keeping him in Edmonton for the majority, if not all, of his career. Do you think that will play a significant role in his ultimate decision to stay or leave? I totally forgot about that. That Connor McDavid's agent was hired to be the CEO of the Oilers, how Connor McDavid's coach in Erie and Chris Knobloch was hired to be the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. That was definitely an angle that we talked about over the past little while, how all of McDavid's people were brought into the Oilers to keep him around and keep him happy. But ultimately, Jackson says here, I don't think so, that my relationship with him and his family will entice him to staying. I mean, of course, we have a long relationship, and I obviously have a relationship with his agent, Judd, but this is bigger than that relationship. This is about Connor coming back to an organization that he has been with his whole career, where he's been close to winning a cup, and where we have an opportunity to compete for the cup not just this year, but for years moving forward. I know it's hard to win, but we have a team that can compete for it. We had it last year. We've got it this year. I think we'll have it next year as well, where we can put a team on the ice that's going to compete and be here playing in the middle of May, end of May. So I think for McDavid, that's what he's after. He's after the opportunity to try and win the ultimate prize, and you have to have a deep and solid team to do that. The article then goes out there and talks about a bunch of other stuff that Jackson wanted to describe. They talk a little bit about the Oilers and some of the other hires that they have had. But ultimately, in regards to McDavid, this is very good PR for Oilers fans to go out there and digest. The CEO saying all of these amazing things about how Connor is a good person and he treats everybody in the organization with respect and he likes being here, etc., etc. It's a very good commentary on current affairs. But of course, McDavid and the Oilers are not going to talk about stuff or contracts up until the available starting time for that. They're not going to get things going right now. They have to focus on other things at the moment. To end off this video, I wanted to go over to Mr. Lucky, M. Lachance's Twitter account, because what they did was they had a really interesting thread talking about Connor McDavid's contract situation and how everything has gone since his first 8-year contract from 8 years ago. Connor McDavid has been the NHL's most expensive experiment. Since 2017, his $100 million contract made him the most scrutinized athlete in Canada. But instead of destroying the Oilers, it proved that one superstar can carry a franchise. Here's a breakdown of this investment. In 2017, McDavid signed for 8 years at $12.5. This was $2 million more than any other player at the time. He was just 20 years old with only 2 NHL seasons completed. What made this deal truly revolutionary? In a salary cap league, Lucky says, one player earning 16% of the team's total payroll seemed unsustainable. How could Edmonton build a competitive roster with so much invested in a single guy? But then McDavid revealed something unexpected, that he actually took less money than he was initially offered. Reports indicated that McDavid was going to get $13.25 million originally, annually, but he insisted on lowering it to help the team's cap flexibility. Why? Because he wanted Edmonton to afford his teammate Leon Draisaitl's new contract. This strategic move established a template for franchise building that NHL owners now follow. The star takes slightly less than maximum value, the team keeps core talent around them, and the contract structure prioritizes flexibility. Tell that to the folks in Toronto. And then the rest of the thread talks about how Connor McDavid did justify the investment, how his production has been sicko mode ever since he had signed the contract. He has posted multiple 100-point seasons all throughout this entire deal, and how it's really worked out to the point that now other NHL teams can be looking at this and following that mold. Having a select few number of guys that are taking good rates, not the best rates for themselves, but good rates, and not prioritizing one particular guy and giving every single dollar to him. Lachanson says here at the bottom, with the salary cap projected to rise from $88.5 million to $104 million by 2027, superstar contracts will grow proportionately. McDavid's next deal could exceed $16 million AAV. Yet, teams following his model will remain competitive. The lesson for potential owners is clear here. For NHL team investors, understanding this dynamic is crucial. The key isn't avoiding big contracts, it's finding superstars willing to structure their deals with team success in mind. The NHL's most successful owners understand this blueprint. And so with all that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All of this talk about Connor McDavid and his next deal, the CEO speaking out about it, and there being Twitter threads written about McDavid's current deal and how it changed the league, making things a lot more competitive and giving a lot of folks a blueprint to follow. But with all this in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Connor McDavid and where you see this contract situation going. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.